Minnesota Vikings are 11-2 with some dire needs heading into the offseason. But one unheralded position could be the key to truly unlocking the greatness of this defense. Minnesota Vikings are riding high with an 11-2 record and a chance to win the NFC North for the first time since 2017 when they went 13-3 and nearly made the Super Bowl, but lost 38-7 to the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFC Championship game. Now, the Vikings are able to do this for a multitude of reasons. Coaching has been tremendous. They've gotten great play out of unheralded players, and their superstars have stepped up in a big way. And Sam Darnold has obviously been the catalyst of most of their success. You can layer some of the success on Darnold, his surroundings, but a lot of it's going to be on the coaching staff led by head coach Kevin O'Connell. General manager Kwesi Adofo-Mensah has done a great job in bringing in veterans to really help fortify this roster, and especially the undrafted free agent market. We can talk about his draft record and how it's been a little bit inconsistent over the course of the first 3 years. He obviously learned something from his first NFL draft, where there were a lot of variables that are not going to be a factor here again, but we still need more production from the players that he's drafted. One of the interesting things about how they have built this defense is they've done so with a lot of veteran talent, and one of those players has been Blake Cashman, the linebacker of the University of Minnesota, was drafted in the 5th round by the New York Jets, spent a few years there, and then spent a couple years in Houston, and last year he broke out in a huge way, and he has kept that momentum up here in Minnesota and has honestly been the most important player for the Minnesota Vikings this season. One of the big problems is they don't have anybody next to him that can really be a game breaker. Ivan Pace Jr. is a good player. He's a solid player, but he has limitations and real weaknesses that teams can exploit, especially in coverage. If you go back to the game against the Los Angeles Rams, that first touchdown drive, they ran a little Texas route, little angle route out of the backfield to Kyron Williams. Ivan Pace Jr. completely blows the coverage, and it's just an easy pitch and catch with Matthew Stafford. You have to be able to cover at a high level. Remember, Blake Cashman missed the game. So if you don't have Blake Cashman, you have to have somebody who can really fill those shoes. And the Vikings didn't. But why not have two of them? With the way Brian Flores likes to utilize his coverages and his blitzing schemes, having a guy that can not only blitz and play the run, but also drop into coverage and be a really pivotal player helps maximize the versatility of this defense, because all of a sudden you can play base looks because you have the ability to have linebackers that can truly play coverage. And that gives you a lot of flexibility. In the same way that 12 personnel allows you to attack with more versatility and more explosiveness because those tight ends can beat linebackers. You have linebackers that can cover those guys, linebackers that can cover tight ends and running backs, and also drop into coverage and just play in a hook zone. You all of a sudden have a really, really versatile unit that can do a lot of different things. And that's the big thing with Brian Flores' defense, versatility. Look at how they're using guys like Jonathan Gennard, Pat Jones. Jihad Ward has basically been an inside rusher in the NASCAR package, where they're running 4 defensive ends, edge rushers, to rush the passer instead of having that traditional style like 3 technique, which they so desperately need. But if you get a guy like Jihad Campbell out of Alabama, a player that can do a lot of different things, 250 pounds, incredibly fast, can be that Tampa 2 pole runner, where at Tampa 2 you have that middle linebacker running in between the 2 safeties. That guy's called the pole runner. All of a sudden, you have an incredible use of skill sets, range of talents that you can maximize in a versatile scheme like Brian Flores runs. That can elevate things to an entirely different level. And if you can do that, well, where is the boundless element of this defense? They were an incredibly explosive and impactful unit early on in the year, and that's lessened a little bit, which is to be expected. Once you get film on a defense, you're able to kind of pick apart weaknesses and be able to have some more effectiveness. But they've been incredibly impactful over the course of the last 8 weeks, even so. Getting that linebacker could be key to unlocking even more from this defense, more disguises, more simulated pressures, more creative blitzing. We've seen some of that with Jamin Davis. Is Davis the answer? It's way too early to say. And quite frankly, you have to lean no, because he is essentially a bust of a first-round pick. But the athletic profile and size is there. You get a guy next to Blake Cashman who can be a true 3-down linebacker. all of a sudden you're cooking with gas, and this defense might become unstoppable. I'm Tyler Forness with AZ Sports. Skol Vikings.